Hi everyone, Al the Psych here. I've got a quick video for you today for informational purposes only, and I've entitled it Repetition Compulsion, um, Pros and Cons. And what I'm doing, I'm just going to read a couple little passages from this book, okay? Trauma and Recovery. This is from quite a while ago, back in the 90s, I think, from Judith Herman. And the first example, she talks about repetition compulsion or reenactment of a traumatic event. Actually, it's in the client's own words. And this would be something that I would not see as adaptive, okay, but rather dangerous. But it's real quick, and I'm just going to read it. Okay, this is from a rape survivor. She describes her determination to return to the scene of the trauma. And part of this, when I think about this, she's trying to get past the trauma, and there's a real resiliency here, but there's also a kind of a dangerous aspect. Okay, so here's what she said. I always hated feeling like some things got the better of me. When this thing happened, I was at such a vulnerable age. I was 17. I had to prove they weren't going to get me down. The guy who raped me said to me, if we ever find you out here alone again, we're going to get you. And I believed him. So it's always a bit of a terror walking up that lane because I'm always afraid I'll see them. In fact, no one I know would walk up that lane at night alone because it's just not safe. People have been mugged, and there's no question that it's dangerous. Yet part of me feels that if I don't walk there, then they'll have gotten me. And so even more than other people, I will walk up that lane. You've got to give her credit. She's really resilient, but in terms of if this is an adaptive strategy, I wouldn't call this an adaptive strategy. Now, one more reenactment or repetition compulsion, and this one is adaptive. And the author, Judith Herman, speaks of a combat veteran by the name of Ken Smith, and who describes how he managed to recreate some aspects of his war experience in civilian life. And this is an adaptive example. I was in Vietnam 8 months, 11 days, 12 hours, and 45 minutes. These things you remember. I remember it exactly. I returned home a much different person from when I left. I went to work as a paramedic, and I found a considerable amount of self-satisfaction out of doing that work. It was almost like a continuance of what I had been doing in Vietnam, but on a much lower capacity. There was no gunshot trauma, there was no burn trauma. I wasn't seeing sucking chest wounds or amputations or shrapnel. I was seeing a lot of medical emergencies, a lot of diabetic emergencies, a lot of elderly people. Once in a while there would be an auto accident, which would be the juice, is the way he puts it. I would turn on the sirens and know I'm going to something. And the adrenaline rush that would run through my body would fuel me for the next 100 calls. So you can see he's kind of turned what he was doing in Vietnam, he's kind of found an adaptive strategy in his new life from Vietnam. The other example that I talked about initially is, well, I get it, and the lady is definitely trying to show her mettle. There's also a dangerous component to that. So just some interesting little tidbits about repetition compulsion. Okay, and that's it for now.